got it right. You're training me well, my dear. All right, everyone, be seated, please. Have a seat, please, so we can start the meeting. No more side talking. We do have guests here tonight that are making a presentation. Please have a seat so we can start the meeting. Wow. I haven't had to be quite that loud since my Piedmont days. All right. Well, welcome back, everyone. It's kind of odd. We didn't have July and August meetings, so got to get back into the groove here tonight. My name is Linda Locke. I am the president of the Berryessa Citizens Advisory Council. We do usually try to have minutes and treasurer's report, but tonight our minutes are going to be electronically sent out on Thursday. So you'll get it then and find out what we did back in June. I can't have side talking because I get really confused and get sidetracked. Don't want that to happen. We have a treasurer's report. Susan's not here tonight, but Sharon is going to give it for us, wherever you may be. Oh, there you are.
Thank you. The beginning balance June 1st was $886.71. The event insurance we had to pay was $131 and leaving a balance of $765.71. For the District 4 grants, our beginning balance was $8,170. We had an income of a grant of $5,000. We had expenses of $3,170, leaving a balance of $10,000. For the Beautify San Jose grant cycle, we had a beginning balance of $2,038. We had return funds of $1,567. A cycle 6 grant of $5,000, leaving a balance of $5,471. In our non-Noble charter, we have a balance of $7,456. Would you like this? Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, I also want to say here. Quickly, everyone, I just want to say I'm Secretary Managing Member of the UNSCC, and we also just sent a check to Susan for $5,000, which represents the County of Santa Clara's donation for your equipment. So it's headed our way too.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much, Sharon, for that, and Ty for explanation. All right, Sheriff's report from Lieutenant Dennis Owens.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to our Monday meetings. I say it's been a busy summer. However, Mother Nature doesn't want to let it up either. It's been very hot lately, and Fire Watch has been working on both sides of the dispatch comm with us and the fire department. So we thank you all for your support and letting us know when things are awry and a little too hot up on the hill. I pulled all the stats from June to present day right now, and you guys live in a great community. That's all I gotta say. You guys live in a great community. We had only 10 reports taken out of our jurisdiction for the Sheriff's Office and your area here in Sierra, Piedmont, Felter, Calaveras, encompasses that entire area there. We were really busy because of the fire watch and crews in the hills. We put extra staffing out just to work the hills on Sierra Road and Mount Hamilton roads for a 3-week period when we had the red flag warnings. Well, we have a bunch of young guys that work for us and they just don't know how to just watch. So they made a good number of arrests, found some stolen vehicles, domestic violence. They did make 9 arrests for illegal fireworks up there, which was great. So I think our proactivity really helped hold back the flames, if you will. Up there, we did have a few small minor fires, but our fire department around here was great in responding and knocking those down really quick. I think our bigger fires were more off of the Mount Hamilton side this summer. During the 4th of July, we actually worked in conjunction with the CHP and the San Jose Police Department. We actually closed Sierra Road on both ends, which somehow people still always got through, but we had it closed. Spring Valley Fire had a command post set up at the Vista, and it was an uneventful evening up there, which was great. Most of our product was down here in the valley floor, and it was out of control, I'll say. But we were able to keep the fires out on the 4th. On the 3rd, we had a good-sized one on Mount Hamilton, but nothing reported off Sierra. There was one on the backside of Felter, but that was started by a mower, not illegal fireworks. I'm not going to get into mowing in the summertime, but that was the origin of that fire. We had a couple calls of service from residents regarding suspicious people. And I don't know how these folks got up there, but we got into some really good, that's a good way to put this. Some people that were really suffering some mental health crisis at the time. I have no idea how they got up there. One guy said he walked from Livermore. I don't know how that's possible, but he said he walked from Livermore. And unfortunately that turned off into him going to jail because that didn't end well. And we actually got a report from a citizen up on Felter Road of somebody shooting. Well, there's only 2 ways up and 2 ways down, and we covered both. And we actually got the vehicle. We got 2 ghost guns out of the car. And the male and female were restrained from each other, and so they both went to jail for that as well. One of the biggest things I'm trying to hit here is you guys are our eyes and ears, and you guys did a great job this summer in helping us out. I know I sat here in the beginning of the year talking about how our staffing woes, and we only have 3-4 deputies on the street out here, so we're trying to work with our partners, the San Jose Police Department and CHP, who are all also in the same boat. But we've been working very well together. We have a great working relationship out of the field. Normally my partners are here, and it's been great because I met all my partners here that work for these other agencies, and we can contact each other if we have an issue or if we need help somewhere. Sideshows, I know that's been a big issue for you guys. We had a couple weeks where we had some crazy runs on Sunday, Mondays, and Thursday nights for some reason. And trying to mitigate that was really difficult because San Jose PD and the CHP have actually a small task force for sideshows, but they only work Friday and Saturday. So trying to mitigate that with all just the patrol deputies was really difficult. But again, you just push them from one area to another area, and you're not finding that I'm all over the county because they just pop up in another spot. But one of the trends that we're starting to notice is we did have 2 reports for stolen vehicles. And fortunately, you are not immune to the rest of the trends going around here, but hot sports cars has been the thing. Thank God for the internet and Amazon, but you can buy a programmer for $349 on there and you can steal any car you want. And our tech-savvy kids have caught on to this. And when you watch a cell phone video or a news video of a sideshow, I would be willing to put my measly county paycheck on there that over half those cars are stolen. I've had 3 deputies that work for me that have had their personal vehicles stolen. Every single one of them showed up on social media in a sideshow in Oakland or Hayward, recovered in San Francisco, and they didn't get it back the way they had it sitting in their driveway. But every single one of them were stolen with a programmer. Some are a little bit more brazen than others, where they stood in front of the camera and waved a gun, telling them that your life is not worth your car, so stay in your house. So if I can say anything to you, just call us, let us deal with them, because you don't know what you're gonna walk out into. This didn't happen in every case. Unfortunately, personally, that happened to my neighbor next door. And one stood holding the front door closed while waving a camera at his ring bell. One of my deputies that got his car stolen, they did the same thing. He just stood in front of the camera, was just telling him, don't come out, your life's not worth your car. I don't know, some people are pretty attached to their Corvettes and things like that, but, it's not worth it, right? I mean, you have insurance for a reason, and we got all their cars back, but like I said, they weren't the same. And recently, as of last night, you saw one where there was a group of people that were struck by a vehicle that was spinning around and around, and there was a red Dodge TRX that actually belonged to one of my deputies that was stolen. Nobody's immune to this. I don't know how they find you guys, but with the sports cars, drive around neighborhoods, I don't know. I mean, I live out in the country, and they found my neighbor's car. I don't know how. But they walk up, usually they'll show up in a stolen vehicle, drop 3 off. One person will break the window, the other person with the programmer to get the signal, lock it, fire it up, get in, and they drive away. It's that quick. It literally takes under a minute for them to take off in your car. But that, unfortunately, is a problem for us because we don't have sports cars, and we don't do a very good job of chasing them because those cars are very fast. We've had some of our high-speed pursuits hit 160 miles an hour. Which we deem unsafe, and I will terminate those as a supervisor. Our cars don't go that fast, and at a certain point, especially on freeways, you're gonna lose sight. So it's just not worth it. It's not worth the risk to the public, so we are not chasing cars that fast. But this seems to be the trend going on right now. They're not just stealing the Hondas and the Kias, and the things that can get started with a cell phone charger. They're stealing the hot cars to take them to the sideshows to be that focal point. So lock up your sports cars, all right? But that was kind of the trend that we've noticed over the summer. And like, again, you guys live in a great community. Like I just told you, everything happened the whole summer for you guys. So awesome. I appreciate you guys. Anybody have any questions before I run out?
This one, you say Sound Safety is not here today?
Well, I'm sorry, the back, but my uniform counterparts. Yeah, I can't tell you anything about high-tech crimes. I know nothing about a computer. I still write stuff down.
I have a quick question. So, Halloween is coming up next month. I know you guys have jurisdiction over way on the Tennessee that whole back area. Last year I went to my friend lives in that area, at a party.
Sign the permits any longer? 1,000 people? Wow. I don't sign the permits anymore, so I can't tell you off the top of my head, but I can look into that and report back at the next meeting. I will pull the permits for this jurisdiction to see if anybody has any block parties to let you know. Or if anybody just wants to come forward now and say it's me, that's fine too. But yes, I will look into that. I will let you know on the next meeting. All right, thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, CHP, is Captain Oliver here? Didn't see him, okay. Assembly person, Assembly person Alex Lee. Tim, do you want to give a report? I know. Oh. Where are they? I can't. Not only do I only have one eye, I don't have my glasses on, so everything's a blur. I can't say she come up.
Okay, she's fine. We have an announcement.
Does she want to give a report?
No, did you want to say something?
No, we're not asking for any more crack. Just whatever you have to say. Yeah. Introduce yourself.
I'm not as Stephanie as it is written on the bulletin. My name is Megan, and I'm here with the District Office of Senator Dave Cortese. And no particular things to report as of this past summer. The legislative session just finished up, so quite a lot of press releases and things of that sort. But the main announcement is just that on September 28th, we are hosting our second annual Picnic by the Lake, which is a multicultural festival and resource fair. There's a lot to do and a lot to see there, and it's in Hellier County Park in San Jose from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., and we would love to see you there. I'll put flyers on the table. Yeah, that's about it.
Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back. So the legislature finished its session, its business on August 31st, which was a Saturday. Yes, the legislators had to work till midnight on Saturday. And the governor has 30 days, so September 30th, I guess there's no 31st, so he has till September 30th to veto or sign bills. There are 7 bills, and I passed out a press release, 7 bills that Assemblymember Alex Lee authored, and they're headed to the governor's desk. I'll point out a couple. One is AB 3031 is going to establish an LGBTQ plus commission to advise the legislature and governor on policies affecting the LGBTQ community. That's one. Train electrification, which is big. We all know that Caltrain has been working on electrifying its rails. And so this bill, Ty, will come up with some CEQA exemptions to make train electrification much faster and speedier for future projects. So yes, sometimes we do have CEQA exemptions, Ty. And the other thing is, which Dick Sanchez might be interested in, AB 2454 ensures access to safe drinking water. There are some landlords who own property, it would apply to them in the Central Valley, and they use domestic wells for the water source for their tenants. So this is to ensure that they do annual testing. It will require that annual testing, and then they will post the results. So, not everyone gets, but it's probably a small percentage of folks, but nonetheless, domestic wells are out there and impacting some people in the Central Valley. And then the Assembly member secured $10 million for a pilot project that is a CalFresh pilot project where those who purchase fresh vegetables and fruits, if you purchase up to $60 of fresh vegetables and fruits at participating retailers, then CalFresh will give you $60 back. So $1 per dollar on fresh fruits and vegetables. We want to make sure that people are eating nutritious meals, right? And so he secured $10 million to ensure that the program goes another year, and has a bill that will ask social services to come up with a study and come back in a year and say, yes, the program is a great program. It's impacting all these people, and we should continue with it. So we'll know later. But for now, $10 million to continue this pilot project. And then there's 2 bills that were signed. I had mentioned these 2 bills in the past. One is, and they affect the School of the Deaf and the School of the Blind. Essentially, it's going to have Caltrans put up highway signs so that folks know. I'm surprised these signs don't exist already, but so that they're aware of these special schools that we have. And we're fortunate in our assembly district that Fremont has the sole School of the Blind in the state, and one of the School of the Deafs out of 2. I think the other is in Riverside, right? So highway signs coming up. And then the last thing is BART. I mentioned this a few months back, but the governor signed it. It will create a chief financial officer, which will hold BART a little more accountable and make it a little more efficient. So coming soon is a chief financial officer to consolidate all those financial duties. Those are a few things. And then just a couple announcements. One is Latino Heritage Month is coming up. So we are going to celebrate on Monday, September 23rd. And it's going to be in our backyard, Linda, right here at, I don't know if you've ever been to Taco El Pastor, the restaurant on Toyon and McKee. We're going to hold it there, the event. And the assembly member will recognize our favorite superintendent, Dr. Roxanne Fuentes. So come and show your support for the superintendent. We will also recognize the restaurant itself, Tacos El Pastor, and we're going to recognize Rico Mendez, who's the chief elected officer for SEIU 521, which represents over 50,000 employees in the Central Valley and the Bay Area. So come join us. There's several other folks that will be recognized. Come find out who they are. And then the last two announcements, and I'll go. We will be present, and he'll say more. The council member will say more about it at the D4's sponsored Mid-Autumn Festival this Saturday at the Berryessa Branch Library. Come see me. I'll be there at a booth. Come say hi. And the last thing, which is important, California High-Speed Rail Authority is going to have 4 open houses. One is in San Jose. Ty laughs, but okay, Ty, it's going to happen. It's going to happen, and we don't need any more overruns, and we need to make this cost efficient. But the event is it's an open house. You're all invited. It's September 19th, which is a Thursday, from 4 to 6. Come find out about the High-Speed Rail Authority and the project to bring high-speed rail from LA to here. And it will be downtown San Jose, so it's close to us, at that Fremont Bank building across the street from San Pedro Square. So go to the open house. Learn all about it, Ty. All right, that's what I have for you, and I will see you next month. Thanks.
He always has lots of information for us. San Jose City Councilman David Cohen.
Well, it's great to be here, and I know these are the diehards because you're all here during the 49ers' first game, so it's impressive to see you. Good evening. It's been a long time since I've given a report here, so I made notes for myself that I'm going to open up right now to make sure I catch everything. I haven't been here since we finished the budget in June. I think Hugo gave a report for me in June with some details about the budget, but locally we got funding for traffic calming on Sierra Road at Flickinger area and at Burgundy and at Suncrest and Burgundy. Because those are some areas where we have some of the biggest traffic issues. So there's funding in this year's budget to get in line for the work that DOT will eventually do at those locations. In addition, we funded a summer program for Berryessa School District through the Eastside Ed Fund, or through the Silicon Valley Ed Foundation, and funded to try to get YSI open for more students to use during the school year. Gave them some funding, as well as a work to get one bathroom in every community center and library with feminine hygiene products, which was an initiative of our local youth who wanted that. So we got that through our budget this year. We had a fun summer. We've opened a lot of new facilities. We opened our new dog park. You've seen it over there. It's been an amazing hit. A lot of people are using it. We opened 2 new parks over in the neighborhood by the new Safeway near the flea market. Also has a dog park. So now we have 2 dog parks in District 4. Those are exciting parks if you haven't been there to see them. They look great. We also will be opening the first pickleball courts in District 4 this Wednesday afternoon at 2 o'clock, although I think they're already open. But over at Cataldi Park, we're having an event on Wednesday to celebrate the opening of that, plus a new full-court basketball court, which I think is the only one, public city-run one, east of 680, or in District 4 east of 680. So stop by on Wednesday or any time to take advantage. There's been some questions about the Noble Pond. I finally have more information because the pond seems to fill and empty and fill and empty. The Parks Department is working really hard to figure out why it's leaking. So they filled it, they thought they sealed all the holes, they thought they got all the cracks taken care of, they filled it and it was still leaking. So they've emptied it again. They're looking at the drain. They're trying to figure out what the problem is. They are working on it, rest assured, but it did look weird when it filled up and then it was empty again, but we're on top of that. I want to thank the Parks Department for quick action at Alum Rock Park because we got the one part of the road reopened and then there was a sinkhole that appeared at another part of the road last month, but they've gone in with engineers and put some plates on top of it so the road can stay open. There might be some periods of time where it closes while they do some work to make sure that it's safe, but we have our eyes on that. The big thing we're focused on is homelessness, particularly RVs in District 4 and across the city is a big issue. There are neighborhoods where people reach out to our office daily about problems, and I'm in touch daily with people in the city who work on these issues. As we were dealing with the problem on Sierra Road, I was informed that it was one of 39 RV locations across the city that were being dealt with within that week. So just to understand the scope of what's going on, we have a large backlog with one staff in the city working on the requests coming in from all 10 council districts in every neighborhood in the city. So just understand that some of these things take time. We make sure the city knows about the location of everything that we learn about, but it doesn't necessarily mean that they can be taken care of quickly. Our big problem is that as we clear one street, what that really does is people just drive their RV to another street, and then we hear, oh my gosh, an RV showed up in our neighborhood. So just be aware that we're trying to do this in a smart way without just basically chasing RVs from place to place. And you won't be able to see this, and it's not for public consumption yet, but I received this map this morning. It's a map of the entire city of San Jose, and there's some pink on the map. That's the part of the city that our transportation department has gone street by street to count the RVs. And they haven't yet gotten to our part of the city, which I was frustrated by, but they will within a few weeks. This is the south and west part. If you could see, there's a couple of very dark red areas. Now, each one of these areas is a police precinct. That's how they're measuring them. Those two dark red areas counted over 60 RVs in them. They're in West and South San Jose. There's a medium ones that have 30 to 60 in them. I believe a couple of our areas might be in that 30 range, but understand that this is not a problem unique to District 4, not a problem unique to our part of the city, and it's something that we meet regularly with folks to try to come up with solutions, and they're working really hard to figure out solutions. Part of it will be when we get our RV site open now within less than a few months, there will be a priority for the RVs that are in our community for that site. We're excited about the new development at Sealy Avenue that is up in North San Jose, 1,500 housing units. It got approved and construction is going to start in February with a new park and a new development there. We have dog bags. Finally, we put in the budget a year and a half ago. Money to put dog bags in District 4 parks. What I've been told is that as of this week, they are now out in Cataldi Park, here at Penitentiary Creek Park, and at our dog park. For now, the Parks Department is going to maintain and keep those stocked, but they are looking for organizations, whether it's neighborhood associations, who would like to take that on as a local task to make sure, because they can't necessarily keep up. So if anyone's interested, either BCAC or PNA or somebody with some of the local areas, we are looking for that kind of volunteer. Upcoming events, we have the Mid-Autumn Festival that we're co-sponsoring with BCAC this weekend it's at the library around the corner. We're celebrating the 25th anniversary of the Alviso Library on Saturday, October 5th. We have Day on the Bay and up in Alviso on Sunday, October 13th. And I think that's it for the important upcoming events, but always reach out to our office if you have any questions or concerns, and I'll be here to assist. Thank you. Question, yes.
So when the RV park, when the RV area opens up in the area, will that force the RVs from Sierra and others to be stationed there?
Yeah, and our worst spot in the district is on Flickinger right now. And we have basically, the decision that's being made for a group of them, which are ones who we know them, we've talked to them, we know that most of them are well behaved, is that we're gonna keep them there so we know where they are when the site opens, because if we move them and they scatter, we won't be able to get them easily moved into the site. We know that a number of them are waiting for that site. They will move into that site. Flickinger will be priority number 1. Sierra Road on both sides will be priority number 2, along with some that are also by Berryessa. And our goal is to keep them clear. Now, how that works, since this is a major citywide issue, remains to be seen. I have that conversation with our transportation department daily. By the way, one of the most difficult things about this is that unless there's a sign that says tow away zone, the state law says we can't tow a vehicle. So we don't have any streets in District 4 with a tow away zone sign. And we asked this morning, can we find out cost estimates? It's a lot of money to actually put in signs all over, but I will be focused on certain locations and saying we're going to make sure that those stay clear after we open the site.
What about when vehicles
Well, yeah, so there are different levels. I mean, there will be, vehicles are towed under certain conditions. If they're a stolen vehicle, if they're an abandoned vehicle, if it's clearly dilapidated and unusable, and it has sits for a long time, they will tow those. A lived-in vehicle is a little more difficult because somebody's living in the vehicle. We don't tow those. We try to try to get people to move along with other means. If certain locations are really sensitive and they don't move, we do tow them. But, and we do things like make sure they're not too close to the corner to block traffic, sight of turns, other things that are evaluated. If they're at a red curb, certain areas, they will get towed if they don't move, but we can't blanket tow from streets.
One more thing about that situation. Also, when you're dealing just on the homeless vehicles and RVs, it's one thing. And you can deal with it to a point, but it's when there's garbage, really like a garbage dump.
Right.
Is the city allowed to let people
Yes,
pick it up?
we do, and we do that. So, like, for example, those vehicles on Flickinger, we went and gave them garbage bags. They leave their garbage out, it gets picked up. So that we know that certain places are doing that. Separate from that, if the garbage is spread out, we have a team in the city that goes out, that does our junk pickup. They will go and make sure that everything's contained. Of course, they're going around for 178 square miles and doing that, so it doesn't necessarily happen right away, but they are doing that, and when things expand, we definitely make sure it's contained. If it's blocking a sidewalk or a bike lane or certain rights of way, it gets cleaned very quickly, and we make sure they get out there.
There is a lot of interest in the RV state parking site that has been going on Berryessa, and I'm hopeful, and I'm wondering in response, will there be an opportunity for the community to provide input on guidelines that will be put in place when that goes in?
I mean, we had public hearings, public meetings at the time for people within a certain radius of that site, that when we received input, that site will be run like our other interim housing site. Yeah, no, I know that we will have a local community advisory committee once it's open, where people will be able to provide input. That's for all, so it'll be run like all of our interim housing sites. It'll start around I mean, we start them as they open. This is the same way we do it for all the interim housing sites across the city.
And then just real quick, you mentioned about homeless encampments, the homeless encampment under the bridge at Penitentiary and Piedmont is growing and growing. And there is a mandate for the city of San Jose to clear homeless retreats. Will that be a priority? Will that site be a priority?
So,
It is city sensitive. Some of us have contacted the water district, the city, everybody, county, and they tell us that it's city sensitive.
yeah, and we're working together with the water district on various sites along the creek. It's on the radar of the city. We have several thousand people in creeks across the city. The city has prioritized the creeks for priority based on what the water board has told us are the certain drainage creeks. Penitentiary Creek at that location is not one of the key measured creeks, so we're starting with ones where, I mean, I'm continuing to push, obviously, for the sites in my district, but citywide, the priorities are certain main tributaries that are most crucial from the environmental standpoint for this mandate that has been put down. So I'm not as optimistic about that site being a priority, but we continue to make sure that the folks who in the city who deal with that know about it and will address it when they can get to it. Yeah.
Some of us can't hear well.
When you were talking about the RVs parked on Sierra, does that also include the overage, which is kind of building up on Flickinger, not on Flickinger, I'm sorry, on Morel, near between Berryessa and
Yeah, I mean,
Sierra?
we are aware of all the locations where they are. We have the same issue on those few that are on Morel as well. And obviously, when we moved the ones from Flickinger, some of them drove around the corner. I mean, we have that issue. that area, when I say what'll be on our list, that whole area will be on our list that we're telling the housing department, when the site opens, these are our priority locations. They're reaching out to my office and asking for a list of streets: Morill, Sierra, Flickinger, Sierra on the west side. Anyway, there's a couple other streets that are on that list. Yeah. Yeah, I don't,
That had their hand up.
was it, go ahead.
Oh, so, where are
No, I think it was, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, was that you? Okay, quickly.
Okay. So this is my first time in this meeting, and I'm not sure the school closure. So we are about to close Sierra Mount, Sierra Mount, and Ruskin is a topic that can be discussed here. So if not, okay.
If you have questions, obviously, we have our school folks who are here, and that's not a city question, it's a school board question, so I'll leave it to them.
This is not the school board meeting tonight, however. We have guest speakers here. They're waiting.
Right now, we do see them like, you'll see us around here where it's usually where it's the side where it's not so much front yard. What I worry about as a citizen is when that RV dumps itself right in front of my house and I can't do anything. That is what we're all worried about. That's the plight that we think here with as neighbors. What is that going to happen? If that happens, what is our recourse? What do we get to do? If someone drops his RV right there and they start living in front of my house, what do I get to do?
Well, let's cross that bridge if it comes to your house. But I mean, in other words, we know about it. We do send people out to try to move people along. This is part of the reason why there are signs when I say, hey, you know, this spot at least is not in front of someone's house. I'm going to leave it for now because we're waiting for the service. Because the more we close off other areas, the more they do what you're saying. And so this is the challenge that we're facing. And we're aware, we will help you make sure that these people are aware of that problem. And between you, the police, and the city staff, we usually can get people to get along. And so that's it. Thank you.
Santa Clara Valley Water District, you can clap for. Did you have a report tonight?
I can't hear you.
Oh, Mr. Santos, do you have a report for us
You gotta
tonight?
get that microphone, right? I can't hear you. Good evening. I'm Richard Santos, the Vice Chair of Santa Clara Valley Water District. And yes, it's a challenging time. When I left, was the 49ers were ahead. Are they still ahead? It's 13-7 when I left, something like that. Anyway, Assemblymember Lee, yeah, where's Tim? Thank you for that. Thank you for that bill 2454. Many of you probably don't remember back in 2003 in South County, the Fairchild building had perchlorate. And it was due to flare, that's where they manufacture them. And it went in all of South County and completely poisoned the whole area. The water district back then spent about $4 million taking care of people who had their private wells. And so that's a lot of things, and this changed, but that bill will be very, very helpful, so thank you. Probably the biggest issue, because I know Linda said let's get some time, the biggest issue is the in-house. And so October 11th at the Santa Clara Convention Center, I put together, it's called the In-House Summit. And I invited all 15 city mayors and you name it, and all the people that can do something instead of pointing fingers. You know, like David said, well, and Mike Cross will say, well, this is San Jose. 8 out of 10 out here is the city of San Jose. But I say, you can call me anyway, because their residents are my constituents also. So we're here to help. I don't worry about whose it is. How do we solve it together? And this issue is not getting better because we need action. So our critics came in, of course. Mike knows what I'm talking about. Is you're trying to criminalize the in-house. It's not true at all. You need laws and the discretionary powers. It's not to arrest. We're humane first, but then you got people who don't want to go to a house or a shelter. So what are we supposed to do? I take tours and the advocates point out, look how nice it is. But I'm there and I go, well, I'm seeing 3 acres of fires. I see the fences burned down. I see criminal. I see all the people. 85% of the people who call say, we want you to do more than you're doing. So we need an ordinance with a law. Why doesn't the district attorney go in tomorrow in the house? Not to punish people. There's enough warrants to pick up a quarter of all the people in the the rivers and creeks, but they don't do it. So this ordinance will give discretionary power and take care of the criminals who give the in-house a bad name. There's a lot of folks who are down and out. We all want to help. So this summit, we're hoping to bring all the legislators. We invited the governor, the Speaker of the House, you name it, they're all there to help solve. You won't do it overnight, but we need more resources. Everybody keeps on pointing fingers, but not in my backyard. It's not the issue. You got to work together and help the folks, and you don't remember when those hospitals shut down back in 1976, a quarter of those folks in the rivers and the creeks had mental issues. You got to bring those facilities back. There's folks there that don't know where they're at and where they're going. And they need medication. I can go on and on. So I know these things inside out. The new generation doesn't. But everybody has to contribute. And so we hope that the elected officials there will come up with something. Plus, I went and met with all the social, mental, and medical folks in the county. Invited them all, saying, come here. Tell us what we can do. We pay San Jose PD $400,000 of your tax money a year just to take care of trails and protect our employees. It's outrageous. The last thing is this: we got to get this judicial system to do a better job. Yeah, you don't want everybody in jail because the places are crowded, but what's wrong with public service? Years ago, when you went to Elmwood, the judge would say, go out and clean up the levees, and you weren't chained up, you were free to go out, but you had to work. So today, why am I picking up after you? So the police officer will have discretionary powers. If the person doesn't threaten our employees, doesn't burn the town down, he said, okay. He says, you got to leave. We don't want nobody living anymore in the creeks and the rivers. It's just that simple. So you take them out, and we're asking the judicial system to do a better job. Give that person a choice. You can either go to 10 days of jail, or you can go clean up. We'll give you the bags, you put it up, and we go pick it up. So today, we're trying to get more of a working together. The city of San Jose has not signed the MOU. I work with the mayor, I like him personally. I said, let's get an MOU so we can work together. If I go move them over here, they just go over to here and go over here. It doesn't solve nothing. But if we're working together, it's not the word sweep, you can take the whole rivers. So Jennifer Codine, who many of you know, she's working 7/24. We don't have enough employees, we don't have enough funding. And our board is, you got 4-3 votes. You got 3 people in that wants to be a social place. The water district's not a social place. We don't build housing, but we're up for, and I've had calls today, example, providing land and so on to be a potential partnership. I have no problem. We can help build an apartment building and get folks out. But that system has to make money so you get paid back. We just don't give it away. That's not what our job is. We're supposed to take care of water supply, flood protection, environmental. So we can build example, apartment building tomorrow and some of our land with a partnership, and you get Social Security and you get other grants and so on, and they pay us back, so you get your money back, I'm all for it. Other than that, I'm not supporting it. But anyway, it's not easy. The biggest thing too, today we have, working with the mayor and city council, our recycling plant. We're now having bottled water, plastic bottled water. We're able to use it in a demonstration. I'm saying we're about a year away, so that water that's going to be treated will be able to sell to drink, and we'll save drinking water when it's supposed to be done. So ask me questions out here. I know Linda's got some things to do. Thank you all for listening.
Yeah. You'll have time after the meeting. This is a meeting, the Berryessa Citizens Advisory Council meeting, and we invited guests to come and speak tonight. So it is not a school board meeting, it's not on the agenda, but we do have the superintendent of schools here who gives an overview of what's going on in the district.
Good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to see all of you again, and welcome back to another school year. Just a few things I'd like to share with all of you. First, we've had a great school opening, and I thank all of you for being watchful out on the road. I'd like to just always remind our community when school starts up again to please remember our safe routes to school, to keep your attention on the road as we have many children walking and biking to school. We are a partner with the city with the Walk and Roll program, so we encourage our families to walk to school as often as they can and have dedication to encourage that every Wednesday. So please be sure to keep our kiddos safe. In addition, over the summer, we completed several playground projects at our elementary school sites. So I always like to share that because we do have our joint use agreement in keeping our play areas open to our community in the evenings and on the weekends. So please take advantage of those new playgrounds. We have about 5 of them out there, and they're pretty fantastic. The kids, there's a lot of novelty in those playgrounds right now, and the kids are getting great exercise and enjoying their recess and lunch time. Also, I always like to share with you when our schools are doing great work and they're getting amazing recognitions. And we have a school site that got a recognition over the summer, and that is Summerdale Elementary School. So Summerdale is being recognized from the Educational Results Partnership Group. They look at student data and student test scores, and they honor any schools in the state of California that have been showing consistent growth over the past 3 years. And so Summerdale is our school site in Berryessa that's receiving that recognition. And so we definitely want to congratulate them for making the ERP honor roll list for 2023. In addition, I know that we do have some new members here at BCAC, or potential members, and many of them are from our Berryessa Union School District. So I also want to welcome you here to this meeting and encourage you to become members here with BCAC. You get lots of fantastic information, not just about our school district, but also about our community at large. Just want to make sure everything's okay back there. Okay, excellent. Glad you're standing. Okay. And so on that note, for the past year, I've been sharing with our BCAC members the difficulties that our district has been facing with financial challenges in addition to lower student enrollment. And we've talked about that decline and how that impact has affected our school sites and the opportunities that we can provide to our students. One of the, 2 of the negative impacts that we have with declining enrollment is we see in our small schools increased combination classrooms, and in our middle schools the offering of less electives as we've had to reduce staff because the student numbers have gone down. So certainly this has become some of the data that we've looked at to be able to review how can we best maximize our resources across our school sites, knowing that our community is continuing to decline in the number of children based on birth rates and the cost of living here in the Bay Area, which we all know very well. And so last year in April, the community convened a school advisory consolidation committee. And we did an open application process, and thank you, Dr. Cohen, for using your newsletter to help get the word out along with the school district for those who were interested in being part of that process. The committee, I just want to reinforce our group of volunteers. They're parents from across our school sites, they're community members, and they've given an investment of time to review all of our data, such as enrollment trends, demographics across our city that we currently represent, looking at facilities, operation costs, repairs, as well as, the fiscal impact of running our schools, and also considering the school climate as well as student achievement at each of those sites. So numerous amount of variables that they have looked at. We just finished a round of town halls to re-engage our community into this process because we know, we certainly understand the anxiousness of, not knowing which school will be impacted and will that affect my community. And we wanted to be sure that our community knew that this is the school year that those decisions will be made. I know myself as the superintendent, I've seen lots of different things coming across social media, lots of assumptions about schools already being identified for closure, whether it's on Nextdoor, on Facebook, or through change.org. And I just want to clarify that we're still in this process. We're still in this process of review and deliberation. The committee is currently going to be doing their best thinking on all of the data that they've pulled to be able to provide the school board a proposal on what they feel would be the best next steps for the school district. That proposal should be completed in the month of October. We have two potentially upcoming meetings. They have a meeting on October 3rd and another one if they still need more time. And then the school board will need time to understand the committee's review process, what their rationale is behind the proposal that they bring forth, and they'll have their own questions that they'll want to ask the committee and staff as they get ready to actually make a decision, which won't come until the month of December. That will occur at our December board meeting. So I want to make sure that that process and timeline is very clear for everyone because at this point there are no solid decisions on one school or another. The school site is still reviewing all the data. I am aware, everyone, the public, we've made all of our information accessible to everyone. So if you go to our school district website, every meeting that the committee has held, all the data is there for our community to see. So every agenda, minutes from that meeting, whatever data the committee has been presented and that they've worked through, that is there. And at the conclusion of each meeting, there's been a scoring sheet that does a full evaluation on that criterion piece for that particular evening based on the topic that they looked at. Now, there are summary sheets that are out there, and I know that that's what folks are taking a look at and creating their own rankings because I came across a photo of a ranking of elementary sites, and the committee has not done that work. And so I want to make sure that that's clear because that's still an upcoming conversation for the committee. And there's nuances to those numbers that the committee has the opportunity to dialogue and discuss as they're preparing, their proposal to the board. So there's still lots of room for additional movement. The other thing that I want to also emphasize is that with this process, we are not just, we didn't just task the community to identify potential schools for closure, but to also, given this challenge, to rethink how we can best create strong learning environments for our students. So they're also looking at school reconfiguration. They've looked at should sixth grade go back to the elementary side. Right now, they're still in conversation about creating a K-8. Would a K-8 be something that would be of interest to our families and new families? If they land on a K-8 option to be proposed to the district, that will completely change the middle school rankings that have been reviewed this past week. So there's a lot of variation and discussion still to come. There are opportunities for public comment regarding this during our meetings, as the committee meetings, as well as during our school board meetings. And we do have a school board meeting this week on Wednesday. Our open session is at 7 p.m. We do not have school consolidation as an agendized item because the committee is still doing their work, so it's in their arena. But every school board meeting, we always have an opportunity for the public to speak and express, their concerns during the non-agenda items. So everyone is welcome to take advantage of that time and to join us at the district office. So thank you.
No questions. We're going right into our presentation finally. Our guest speakers tonight are from San Jose Police Department. Our guest speaker, Sylvia Bybee Lamelli and Sergeant Wellman.
Good evening, everyone. How y'all doing? I hope you're still awake. All right, let me plug this back in and we'll get started.
Good evening. I'm Detective Jason Wellman with our fraud unit. She's going to get the slide up real quickly. For me, I've been a fraud detective for just over 3.5 years. This is going to be a little bit different, not so much specifically for your community, but overall, some ideas about different types of fraud, different ways to prevent it. It's kind of our goal with this. It's typically about an hour-long presentation. I'm going to dwindle that way down. Don't worry, I won't keep you guys here that long. I've had, in my tenure at the fraud unit, I've had just over 2,200 cases, either primary or assist assigned to me, with over 800 cases filed. Currently, for a city of 1 million people, for the fraud unit, we have 4 different detectives. We had a sergeant, unfortunately, I've had to take in some of his duties lately with him being out for the last couple months. But that's probably why with fraud, as you can tell, it's not exactly dwindling. It is getting much more expansive and more global. Here are some of our priorities: elder fraud, identity theft, embezzlement, and false impersonations. Different scams, they have a bunch of fancy names for different types. I'm sure you guys have heard of romance scams, meeting somebody online. They convince you after they grow a relationship with you to spend money to help them with problems they have overseas, to invest in something, you name it. I'm not going to go through all those different ones. When it comes down to it, there are about 4 different things that we're going to specifically look at as to identify different scams, and then 4 different ways to help you prevent it. But this list is ever growing. They have a bunch of different names specific to different ones, but we won't take the time for all of that. Here's just an example of some of those calls will look like. I'm sure you guys have heard of the grandparents claims. Grandchild says they have a warrant, gotten some major accident, and to save them from some dire consequence, they want you to send money, tax that they say you didn't pay or that you owe. Just kind of an example. And then the fake links you guys get to your text messages and your emails. We'll go through a couple quick examples later on about the emails, but here's what one of those fake text messages look like. Don't click it. It's an easy way to redirect you to a different site to install malware inside your phones, in which case they'll usually, if you go to a different site, have a website that looks just like the legitimate website. They'll have you input your name, password, and then they have access to your actual bank account as just one of the different ways. Basically, you see a link you don't know about, don't click it. We're going to skip past this. There's a small little video, glitter scam. If you type in glitter bomb scam on YouTube, it's a very educational video. It's about 20 minutes. We won't go through it tonight. This is one of our elder fraud scams. Started off with what you guys might typically have heard of before. The gentleman whose face is blocked out there got a call saying that his bank account was compromised, and in order to digitize his fund to protect himself, he had to start withdrawing cash and mailing it in packages with $10,000 each across the country. He had sent about 12 different packages, and then they told him for about $120,000, and then they started sending somebody to his front door, saying that a federal agent was going to be picking up the cash from him at $10,000 a piece. That happened at least twice. By the time the Homeland Security happened to pick off one of the guys getting the cash in Illinois and had a package to him, confirmed it was a scam, and then let us know about it. We confirmed with the gentleman, and then was able to set up an operation to pick off whoever was supposed to be picking up the third package. Through an interview with him, we were able to confirm he was the same guy who had picked up a couple other times before, knew that it was a scam, knew he was an elder, and that he knew the person that was sending him. After we used him and the person who sent him, we were able to use them to draw somebody up from LA and arrest that subject here in San Jose. search into their phones. We were able to get a good phone number for whoever was starting the chain there, and it tied into not one, but two different FBI investigations where they flew me out to Pittsburgh to testify at a federal grand jury where they indicted two subjects down in Southern California, took houses, gold bars, you name it, away from them, and quite the intensive investigation. But as proud as I am about this investigation, I'd like to outline this case for something very important. Even though this guy knew all of that, he had been told about the scams, we talked to his family, they took steps to protect him. They didn't do a full conservatorship of him, they want to have some freedom still. Knowing all of that, a year later, he was being scammed again out of over $100,000 more. And the reason why I specifically say that, because the most important part of any sort of elder scam, if you think you're falling victim for, if you have a friend you think that's falling victim, is protection. Protect yourself against it from happening. Because if you don't take that, any investigation we do will be for naught. Here are the four key scam things I said specifically to note. Usually it's from some sort of trusted source. It's going to be from Netflix, it's going to be from the IRS, it's going to be from PG&E, it's going to be from your bank. Last year I had a scam where they were spoofing the San Jose police phone number. It means when they called saying they were police and that they had a warrant for them, it showed up as our non-emergency phone number on the person's phone. And they told people they had warrants and they scammed people, had them drop off cash. One person in particular handed $100,000 in person to somebody. They had people drop it off in Bitcoin ATMs. So it's going to be from a trusted source. There's going to be some sort of a problem or prize they have to deal with immediately. The taxes are due, we're going to shut off your water, you have a warrant, you have some sort of lottery that you won, something, and you have to do it now. They don't give you the chance to verify independently, whoever it is. They don't have, pretty much try to get you to get any sort of time where you have the chance to talk to somebody. And the unusual payments. That's going to be money sent across the country, wire transfers. You're not going to be sending a wire transfer to John Smith in Idaho for your taxes to the IRS. You're not going to be dropping money off at a Bitcoin ATM. You're not going to be handing it in person to anyone. Or the very well-known one, you will not be reading the back of a gift card to pay for a warrant. So easy ways to avoid it, scanning calls. If you have a smartphone only, you can pre-program phone numbers that are going to your phone. And only answer those. You can have a spam monitor actually set up on your smartphones. If you have an old-fashioned landline, you can have a voice recorder, have all your voicemail or your calls go to voicemail. Make sure it's somebody you know first before you answer the call. Whatever your detection is for those phone calls, great, make sure to scam them. Same thing with emails. I'll show you briefly in a second a good way to detect fraudulent emails. Never give personal information. I call anybody that's been a victim of identity theft or anything along those lines, you will not be handing out your social security number or your bank account information or anything from to a legitimate company. Don't act immediately. Always verify who you're speaking to. Can I get your phone number? I'll give you a call back. Verify independently from Google or something like that, or if you're not that savvy with Google, have somebody that's more savvy with that. Verify the phone number the person's calling you from. Same thing with emails before you return that phone call. If it's a police officer calling, you can call into the non-emergency phone number for that department, verify that person is who they say they are and for legitimate purposes. Knowing scammers' methods, same thing, don't send payment for anything along the lines of what I just mentioned. And it is always a good idea to talk to somebody trusted before you continue with some sort of action. Find a family member, find a friend that you can bounce the idea off of if you're not sure if it's a scam. All else fails, here are some good resources. There's an elder fraud unit at the county. Adult Protective Service is always a good one. And once again, I always recommend to trusted family members. Identity theft. The different colors here, I've blocked out the names of the victims for these specifically because, well, we don't need to know their information to see the damage done. Each single one of those lines is a point where that person's information was used. They open Google account names, bank accounts, buy cars, rent apartments once they have your information. Usually I try to go through some of the details of that, but I will skip past that. Easy ways to prevent it, monitor your transactions. If you think something's being used, it never hurts to set up a credit freeze on your credit. If you're not going to be applying for loans or anything like that, you can always thaw it out to apply for that line of credit real quick and then refreeze it. Same thing, get a copy of your credit statement, go through it with a fine-tooth comb, see if there's any phone numbers, bank accounts, lines of credit that don't belong. And if you see something like that, make a police report and start contacting those entities. The reason why I say make a police report first, because one of the first things they're going to ask with a fraud report is for your police case number. Any sort of financial documents, anything you think you're just throwing away that might have even your name, address, date of birth, something like that, shred it first. Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, these are the people you're going to be freezing your accounts with if you choose to do so, and also where you're going to go to get a copy of your credit statement. All right, when I said emails to look out for, notice this one's supposed to be representing itself as Netflix. Up on the top, inside that box, it's a little bit harder to read for those in the back. It says Netflix, but if you tap on whoever it's from, instead of being from Netflix.com, it has Rama Kapuvi. That is not Netflix. If you see that in your email, it is not the right person. It is completely spam. Typically used to say that the emails were set up with spelling errors and grammatical errors, stuff like that. That is becoming less common, especially with the use of AI. But one thing they cannot change is the URL that it is coming from. Also, Google is not spelled with an O and a 0. Google is not spelled with a 1 instead of an L. Anything like that, it's not the legitimate source. Delete the email. Here's different ways to file fraud reports, 911, 482, and that's my direct line, although the best way typically is to call our non-emergency number, 408-277-8900, to make any sort of fraud report. Hey, I did it pretty quickly.
Anybody have any questions?
Before we go, though, I would like to let you know, so my name is Silvia Vaivilameli. I'm the crime prevention specialist in the area. So I cover everything from the border Milpitas down to Silver Creek area. With me, I brought today some important information. So before you go, make sure you grab one of those important phone numbers, because if you ever do need to make a report, it's important that you do it to our non-emergency number, which is 408-277-8900, and it's listed on there. We also have other police numbers that they may ask you to call if your case is being processed. So just make sure you pick one of those up at least, and then all the information that he just covered, because we did it so quickly, I want to make sure that you know what we have available. Each of these has a little bit of information on how people are commonly scammed. We have the sweetheart scam, where they act interested in a love relationship, maybe someone overseas, it could be someone local, and suddenly they start asking for money. So there's some information on that here. It also lists the different companies that may call you and say that they need money, but these companies will never call you for money. One example is the FTC. They will never ask you for money for any account, and also reiterates where you can contact, like Amazon scams, Target, Walmart, all the common stores that you might get scammed from, where you can report to them so that they are also aware of these. And then lastly, how to avoid a scam. We do have them in multiple languages. We have English, Spanish, Vietnamese, and simplified Chinese. So if you have a neighbor that you'd like to share this information with, please go ahead and grab one and share. Do you have any questions before we go? Yes, the QR code.
Misconception about the QR code. Remember that link that I said don't click on? What the QR code is doing, it's not immediately installing malware. It's going to redirect you to a site like those sites that are supposed to look like a legitimate site and have you type in your name and your password. Or it's going to then ask you to install something, which may be the malware or something like that. And that's what the QR code is, to direct you to one of those sites.
That's a good question. Anything else? No? You're all experts?
Not experts. Heard it once or twice. You get this package, so link to it? Presentation.
Oh, you want a link to the?
Sure. Yeah.
See that?
Give our me or Eric.
to shoot me an email, and I will reply to that.
I have a question, and that is, how prevalent is the scamming here in the San Jose area?
Absolutely not. So because of staffing, not even the ones I've been assigned to, we've had to close at least 1,000 cases in the last month and a half as lack of investigative resources, and we don't have the time and resources. And the reason why I didn't delve too much into it, because there's so many scams going on right now, that we have a full task force at the county for high-tech crimes. Typically, they have what's called pig butchering, where they meet somebody online, convince them to invest in some sort of a DeFi crypto website, and people are losing, at this point, we've probably lost hundreds of millions as a city, just from that scam alone. Elder fraud cases, we have gotten in those couple of months, hundreds of elder fraud cases. Yeah, it's unfortunately well beyond what I can even count. That's just in that little time period the ones we've even seen. A lot of them get closed to what we call zero round before it even gets to the fraud unit. So it is overwhelming, unfortunately. So, as he said, the best way, not only because of what I outlined with that one case, but just due to the lack of resources to fully investigate any of them, and the likelihood of them being specifically Hong Kong, usually Nigeria, was Jamaica for a while. I didn't do business email compromise on this specific one, but actually I had a case where I like to say I caught the Nigerian prince. But no, it's the best way to do it is to prevent it. Just because a lot of them are people that are overseas, and once the money's gone to Hong Kong or some other country, it's gone. And for cryptocurrency, just because I think I'm the only person at our department actually trained for cryptocurrency investigation, or maybe people. Those often don't even get looked at. So best way is to prevent.
With that many cases and this being so prevalent, I'm pretty loud. Shouldn't there be more ways to outreach to the public so they don't get scammed like this? I mean, I appreciate what you're doing here, but we're what, 0.001%?
So we do several different outreaches. Not only do we do it, the DA's office does it. Banks actually are doing pretty well with some of these scams. A lot of people would, particularly if there's an illness coming up and they're suddenly asking for a large withdrawal. The good thing is the banks have been very good about contacting and saying, look, this looks like a fraud. This looks, and the problem is the scammers are so good, they get them to lie to the banks to still commit the fraud, like basically lose their money. But the banks have been doing very well with outreaches. They're trying to prevent it. So, yes.
Can they do more?
I hope.
Grow your department.
Yeah, that would be the solution for a lot of things. Yes. Grow the department, more pre-sweeps, more outreaches for fraud, all of the things. Prevention. Yeah, prevention, and we have been trying to do a lot of outreaches, and that's why our lieutenant's been having us go out to different meetings and stuff, is to try to spread the word. Specifically, this pamphlet that she has, there's a long one in there that outlines those 4 steps. You can actually, as a community CAC, on that, they actually can give you them for free. You can ask for a pack, they will ship them to you for free, hand them out, you pass that information along. The more information like that gets spread.
Yes, thank you for coming.
Yes.
Actually, I got stung a couple of times, so I know about fraud and how easy it is. And they do go after the elderly. I guess because we're a little slower, we're a little naive, or we're lonely, and there's, somebody to talk to. But they froze my computer. I couldn't, even when I turned it off and turned it back on, I couldn't use my computer. It had this, comment on it. Fortunately, my son was in town. I said, come over. I need you to look at my computer. And so he showed me how to get out of that. And then he said, and the other thing you could do is just do Control-Alt-Delete. I said, oh, I knew that one. That's easy. So they're out there. You know, it is out there. And that's why we have people come out and talk to us about it. There's all kinds of, you know, my grandson was a terrible automobile accident. He was driving and when something happened and he needed me. I said, gee, that's funny. He was only 10. I hung up the phone, you know. But you don't know, you know, and a lot of times you just don't. So it behooves us to really pay attention. Please there's just all kinds of pamphlets on this black table before you go out the door. So be sure and do that. I have a couple of announcements. Guess I don't need both of these. Our next general membership meeting will be October 14th, and it will be a Berryessa Union School District candidate forum because there are 3 people running for 2 seats. So we will have a forum at that meeting. And we do have a BCAC board meeting next Monday at the district office where we usually meet. And I want to tell you about that. David talked about our council member about the Autumn Festival that is this Saturday at the library. And you're all invited to come, and BCAC will be there, of course. And we also have the creek, it's getting hard to say, creek cleanup. I have a sign up on the table. If you're interested, we get to clean up our own area, right where our problems are. Site 8, it's called Penitentia Creek. So we will take signups for that. Susan Fowle and I will be going to a workshop this Thursday to get more information. So if you're just interested and would like to put your name on there, we could make sure that you get an email. But we'll email all of our members to let you know a little bit more about it. But the Santa Clara Valley Water District supplies all the supplies. They'll give us all the supplies that we need, so we don't have to bring anything. We just meet in a certain place. But we will tell you what that is and where it is. And I want to thank Sita tonight for our coffee and cookies and water. And if anybody would like to volunteer for cookies for next month, we would be happy to let you do that as a community service for the rest of them. Okay, I think I've covered everything. Thank you so much for the police department and that information. Thank you for coming tonight. I don't think there's much coffee, but there's water and there's cookies.